The focus of the nation remains on the state of the economy, and the flashing red lights indicating a recession and a bad one are on the way. It looks like there's just no way around it. Democrats continue to talk about spending more money. Crazy. Absolutely insane, right? But Joe Biden and his other socialists seem to think they can spend their way out of the crisis that they have created. The problem is, nearly every person that understands the economy understands that pumping trillions of dollars into the country is what triggered the inflation explosion in the first place. And it also makes you think it was intentional. In fact, Democrats should be calling Senator Joe Manchin, thanking him right now for stopping the whole Build Back Better fiasco. They should thank him for standing in the gap and saying no to another several trillion dollars in reckless spending, because that would have made the situation here that much worse. But instead of that, Joe Biden and the other horsemen of the American financial apocalypse just keep riding full steam into the storm. But once again, it appears it will be Joe Manchin that stands up and says he will not allow his state of West Virginia to be destroyed by more reckless socialist behavior. Here he is.
Senator Joe Manchin says Build Back Better is gone. Roll that tape.
We're not going to spend any more money, I can assure you that. We've spent enough. We're $30.5 trillion of debt. We've got to get our debt under control. If you want to get inflation under control, control your debt.
Are you and Leader Schumer still talking about Build Back Better?
I talk to everybody.
You talk to everybody, but specifically about Build Back Better?
No Build Back Better, it's gone.
All right.
Oh, did you hear that? There's no Build Back Better.
It's gone. There's no Build Back Better. And while Manchin is standing up and defending common sense and ordinary Americans all across the nation, and not just in West Virginia, there are other Democrat senators that claim to be moderate, that continue to pivot and pivot and pivot, so much, in fact, it makes my head spin. And they keep coming back to the only talking point that any focus group has apparently approved, and that's to keep blaming Vladimir Putin for anything and everything that goes wrong in the United States with Joe Biden's failing administration. Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown among those. Among the more delusional members of the far left, he expects you to swallow the whole load of crap that the war in Ukraine and OPEC are driving inflation in this nation. Listen.
We aren't witnessing traditional inflation. We're watching Russia and OPEC drive up prices, and American energy companies engage in wartime profiteering. At the root of the higher prices and the empty shelves are the same problem that's been shipping jobs overseas and keeping wages low for decades, from Nevada to Massachusetts to Ohio. Corporate power, concentration reaching into every industry and market, into every corner of the economy. Our economy doesn't have to be a zero-sum game where Wall Street wins, everyone else loses. We can create an economy that reflects our values and works for everyone.
What values do you have, Senator? What values do you have? Another lying piece of garbage on Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, every major news outlet finally starting to tell the truth, at least a little bit, about the failing Biden administration and what's happening with the economy, at least a little bit. Listen to this.
But a growing number of economists have raised the odds of a significant slowdown. According to the Wall Street Journal's latest poll of 53 leading economists, there is a 44% chance the U.S. is in a recession within the next year. We've already seen American consumers. They are anxious. They are cutting back. And while this can help drive prices lower, it also hits the economy. We're a consumer-driven economy, Robin. 70% of our economic growth comes from how we behave.
Thankfully, the media lapdogs that have seen the ratings of their dishonest networks fall faster than Joe Biden on a bicycle are getting the memo that America isn't buying their act anymore. Not at all, in fact. Cecilia Rose is among that helpless crowd of stooges who claim to be economic advisors to Joe Biden. Here she is getting hammered on CNBC. Listen.
Parts of Build Back Better include addressing costs, such as prescription drugs. It includes making investments to make the transition to clean energy, which we know we need to be making as well. So that's not the kind of dollars that is stimulus. It's investment, and it's the kinds of investments that we know actually pay for themselves over time. So that's smart economic policy right now. The president is trying to take the kinds of actions that would address gas prices in the more immediate term, while also making the kinds of investments we know we need to make in order to make the transition to steady, sustainable growth that will benefit all Americans.
Is it possible, as Americans are feeling that pain, that message is a little tone deaf and could have a really kind of negative impact in terms of consumer sentiment?
So I'm not sure which part is the tone deaf. The president is looking to lower costs.
Focusing on spending money.
Huh? Huh? Which part's tone deaf? Huh? The whole damn thing is tone deaf. And then there are those that are supposed to understand how the economy actually works and what it takes to avoid inflation and stagflation and a recession of great magnitude. But they're also leaving Americans reeling, their savings dwindling, their future in doubt, creating anxiety and fear of what happens next. Fed Chair Jerome Powell, for example, says they're very attentive to Americans' needs. Yeah, he's right there with you. But it's complete crap. Listen.
We are highly attentive to inflation risks and determined to take the measures necessary to restore price stability. The American economy is very strong and well positioned to handle tighter monetary policy. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Okay. So the grilling of Jerome Powell on Capitol Hill, who's been in charge of the country's spiral into the inflation death zone, told Elizabeth Warren raising interest rates, by the way, won't lower the price of groceries or anything else. Newsflash, he's right about that. Here it is.
So let's look at another necessity, food. Price of groceries is up nearly 12% this year. Americans feel the pinch. No matter how much groceries cost, people still got to eat. Chair Powell, will the Fed's interest rate increases bring food prices down for families?
I wouldn't say so, no.
No. No, Senator. It wouldn't lower food prices. What would lower food prices would be having sound economic policy in this country. Sound energy policy in this country. Republicans that don't act like Democrats a good part of the time. Getting rid of the uniparty in Washington. That would help Americans. Having an actual political party that would push back against the crap that's being spewed out of Washington. That would be helpful to the American people. Having somebody that's sober and understands how the economy works. That would be helpful. Not trying to pretend that windmills and solar panels are going to somehow power the biggest industrialized nation in the world into the future. That would be helpful. We'll continue the conversation in a moment. It's the Steve Gruber Show.